Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to part one of the Star Wisdom astrology course. And part one is being taught by Neptune. So, this is my Neptune hat. You may remember it from the introductory video, which I hope you have watched because you will need to have that grounding in order to appreciate these lessons. And so if you haven't watched it recently, I highly recommend that you watch it again first before you start the lessons. So this is my Neptune hat. It has a sort of fantasy quality about it because Neptune's very much about the fantasy realms and daydreaming and being able to go into that unlimited space of the imagination. Neptune's one of the three gods. It was discovered at about the end of the 19th century. So it's relatively new. When we do the Uranus video, I will say a little bit more about this. But Neptune was discovered around the same time that there was a very renewed or a new interest even in spirituality. It coincided with the birth of the Golden Dawn and Anna Blavatsky and Rudolf Steiner, people who were looking beyond Christianity for something more inclusive, something more unitive as a spiritual experience. Now, Neptune obviously is the god of the oceans. And the reason that Neptune rules the oceans and water is because, in a way, the oceans have no boundaries. And Neptune has no boundaries. It's a gas planet, it has no hard edges to it. And Neptune's about that unlimited infinite space of the universe. There's no boundaries. You can go anywhere in your imagination, in your imaginal realm. And if you think about a drop of water when it lands in the ocean, suddenly it has no boundaries anymore. It just becomes part of the ocean. It's that when we die and our personal soul or spirit connects with all the rest of the universe, it's like suddenly we have no physical boundary anymore of our body. We just become at one with the oneness. Neptune rules meditation for the same sort of reason, because when we're meditating, we're looking to reach into that oneness. It rules unity. It's about this sense that we're all one energy, we're all connected. Although we feel separate to each other, our egos feel like they're separate, we're not really. Everything is interconnected with each other, and that is Neptune. Now, at a very low vibration, Neptune, we can feel very lost. If you imagine if you're in the middle of the ocean and you can't see a shore anywhere, you have no idea which way to go. You're just completely lost. It's just ocean all around you. Or if you're in a really thick, dense fog and you can't see beyond the hand in front of your face, you don't remember which way you came from anymore. You end up turning around in circles and not knowing which way to go because you can't see anything. So at very low vibration, Neptune can really feel like that. We can feel completely lost. We can also live in a bit of a delusional fantasy, that our Prince Charming is coming. I know he's coming. And it's like, well, it might be, but it's not going to come if you don't do anything, if you never leave the house to go and meet somebody. So it can be that very delusional Neptune. It's also very much about our addictions, because when we're addicted to something, particularly something that is mind altering, like alcohol, even cigarettes, um, any, drugs, and this can be pharmaceutical drugs, anything that shifts our consciousness slightly, shifts our awareness slightly, is ruled by Neptune, as are toxins and poisons are ruled by Neptune too. Anything that will take us into a slightly different mind space. And particularly with things like alcohol and strong mind altering drugs, because usually people are taking them because they want to go into that different awareness. My father was an alcoholic, and I used to say it was like he was a very spiritual man, but it was like he was seeking the spirit in the bottle. And the problem with Neptune and addictions is that once you've had that experience of that more transcendent space of feeling less inhibited or having some mind altering experience, you can keep going back to that substance wanting more. And in the end, it's not going to give you more. It's going to trap you in its addictive nature, its addictive pattern, and people then tend to get lost in it. Neptune's very much about getting lost at a low vibration. But at a high vibration, this is what we're seeking, particularly at the point of death. We're wanting to transition effortlessly from this very boundaried body into that unlimited oneness of the universe, of the spirit, of the soul realm. So at the same time that Neptune was being discovered, they were also discovered anesthetics, because Neptune rules sleep. It's about our dreams. It's about our imagination. It's about going off into, we can go anywhere in our imagination. There's no boundaries. So Neptune takes about 180 years to go all the way around the zodiac. So it takes about 15 years in each sign, sometimes a bit less, sometimes a bit more. And it is currently in Pisces, which is its home sign, and went in 2012. Your little inner bells might be going dung, 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 because 2012 marked a very significant point in the Mayan calendar, in the Mayan calendar, when they felt that it was the end of the calendar, and then there was this gap which starts again in 2026. Some people, it's called the Kali Yuga, or the change of the times and things like this. So Neptune moving in Pisces in 2012 was actually really significant, and it will be moving into Aries shortly. It does a bit in 2025 and then for good in 2026. Now, as it goes through the signs, because the gods, if you like, move through the signs so slowly, they are really influential on the whole of the planet. And while we've had Neptune in Pisces, we've had a lot of issues around the oceans, like toxicity in the oceans and toxicity in water, because Neptune is very much about toxicity. Neptune also rules film and videos, and we've had a big rise in the use of people videoing everything, and surveillance cameras and things like that. And for people who are Pisces, this has been a very unique time, because it's 180 years since Neptune was in Pisces. And so, it's going to be generations before Neptune's in Pisces again. And as a Pisces with 3 planets in Pisces, I've been really watching Neptune moving over my planets. And what I've noticed is this extraordinary up leveling of creativity, because Neptune enables us to move into the imaginal realm. It encourages daydreaming. Einstein was quite Neptunian, was quite Piscean, and he always said, I never got anything new from thinking about it. I accessed it all from the imaginal realm. So we've had this opportunity as a planet to explore more that imaginal realm. And maybe you've noticed that you've been a bit more creative, or that maybe you've been meditating more, or, you've wanted to move more into that acceptance of oneness. And certainly the other thing that I've noticed is this much bigger interest in quantum physics, which is all about the unified field. And and Neptune is definitely about unity. In fact, I even remember the government started talking about, we need to unify, we need to be united. Well, that's a very Neptunian quality to this perception that we are all one. So in this lesson, Neptune is all about our intuition, because we have no boundaries on our intuition either. And intuition is a really key skill in astrology. We're needing to, I say that astrology is a bit like palm reading. Now, when someone allows or gives me permission to look at their star map, they are giving me permission almost to read their palm. They're giving me permission to look beyond just that piece of paper, to look and to see what is there, to see what that says to me. And now, obviously, it takes experience. You have to, learn the skills and have the experience. You have to have done the practice in order to be able to rely on your intuitive ability. But that's one of the key skills in astrology, is about intuition. And so Neptune is going to offer you some exercises to develop your intuition. So let's dive in, and I'm going to share my screen. So let's go back to our Star Wisdom syllabus. And here we have Neptune in the green zone of the learning styles module. And if you remember, the green zone is the neutral zone. It's the mutable zone. It's all about growth. And Neptune is all about the intuition. So this is the symbol for Neptune. This is my star map. And you can see I've got Neptune right at the top there. So the symbol is the trident, as in god of the oceans, Poseidon. Neptune is another name for Poseidon. And Neptune rules the sign of Pisces, which is the last sign of the zodiac. So Pisces is a very emotional, watery sign. It's all about the fishes in the ocean. And traditionally, Pisces are very intuitive. And they also can be quite daydreamers and very creative. Usually have very good imaginations. I'm a Pisces. As you can see, I've got 3 planets sitting there in Pisces. And Neptune and Pisces rule the 12th house. So the 12th house is the last house, and it's the very private house. It's very withdrawn. You'll see later in the course that it's at the back of the cave. It's where we retreat to. So if you think about it, if we're out, we've got no boundaries. It's a little bit like, fishes that they don't want to be seen because otherwise they become vulnerable, that they're going to be predated on. So they tend to hide. A lot of sea creatures will lurk in the shadows to make sure that they're not being seen by predators. So Pisces and Neptune rule the 12th house, which is a very private and withdrawn house. So Neptune is going to teach us about the elements and the chart image. Now, by elements, I mean earth, water, air, and fire, which I'm sure you're all familiar with already. And all the signs of the zodiac are allocated an element. And we can see these in the chart with the colors. So green is earth, and you can see there are 3 green signs. So we've got Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And then we have 3 air signs. Air is yellow. So we have Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And then we have 3 water signs. Water is blue. We have Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And then we have 3 fire signs. Fires are red. We have Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries. So these are the elements, and there are 4 elements, and there are 3 signs for each element. Now, each element corresponds to a different level of experience, if you like. So earth is the slowest energy. It represents our physical body and obviously the very earth itself, and anything that is material and physical and solid. It's slow to change. The molecules move quite slowly. It takes us a while to change our physical bodies. Not that we can't, but it takes a little while. We have to exercise for a few weeks to see a difference. Water, the water element, represents our emotional body. It's all the water that we have. By molecules, we are 99% water. We're literally just a bag of water, really. And it represents our emotions. And water can change a bit faster than solids. The molecules are moving a bit quicker. And we can certainly change our emotional state quicker than we can change our physical state. We can say, oh, I'm feeling a bit low. Oh, I really want to cheer myself up. What can I do? And we can change fairly quickly. And then yellow, the air, represents our mental level, our thinking. And if you think about air, that can be really fast. You think about how fast air can move, the wind and tornadoes and things. And equally, our thoughts move very fast. They say we have something like 60,000 thoughts a day. And certainly we can change our thinking just like that. And then fire represents sort of like inspiration. And if you think about fire, that can take over. It's so fast. It's moving. We can. There's a special quality about fire, isn't there? About the light. About fire. It's quite different to the light that emanates from a physical body or even from water. Fire has a very special energy, a special light, and it represents, that inspiration that we can get. And when that comes, it can come as a whole sentence. We just got it just instantly. It's even quicker than our thoughts, than our thinking. So get to know the elements. Spend some time with the earth. Talk to it. What does it mean to you? What does it feel like? What does it say to you? What does it represent? And do the same with all of the elements. Sit with some water, even if it's just a cup of water, or watching the water out of a tap, or in the shower or the bath. Or, if you can, go by a stream or a lake or the ocean, and really, get a sense of how it operates and what it means. And the same with air. Feel the air on your skin. Watch the air through the trees. Listen to the sound of the wind. What's that telling you? And then sit with a candle or make a fire or look at the gas on your gas cooker, and what does fire say to you? What is that teaching you? What's that communicating to you? Now, this little exercise is the sort of thing that you should always be doing. I still do it because we can always learn more from the elements. And the signs of the zodiac are so embedded in the elements. We have to know when we look at a sun sign and we see whether it's in earth or water or air or fire, we need an almost instinctive understanding of what that element, what the qualities of that element give to the planet, particularly the sun. So for your first homework, what I want you to do is add up how many planets are in each element. So how many planets are there in earth signs? How many in water signs? How many in air signs? And how many in fire signs? It should add up to a total of 11. Is there an imbalance somewhere? I mean, ideally, you're looking, 2 to 4 or 5 in each element, but you'll find that some elements may have even more and some have no planets at all. So what is that likely to tell you? If somebody has no fire or someone has a huge predominance of earth, what's that likely to tell you about that person? See, remember, you're using your intuitive skills here. This is not fixed, hard and fast, things that you have to memorize. So in my chart, I have 2 planets in Earth. I have Jupiter in Virgo, that's the one at the top, looks a bit like a number 4, and Mars in Taurus. So Mars looks like the masculine symbol, circle with an arrow. And then I have 6 planets in water, 3 in Pisces, Sun, Venus, and Mercury on the left-hand side, Moon in Cancer, bottom right, and Neptune and the North Node in Scorpio. And I have 3 planets in fire, Saturn, that looks a bit like a letter H in Sagittarius, and Uranus and Pluto in Leo on the right-hand side. But I have nothing in air. So with all that water, you expect me to be quite emotional. And I can be very emotional. But more than, particularly when I was young, I was very, very emotional. And I'd get very tied up in other people's emotional states. But more than that is I'm very sensitive. I'm very perceptive. I'm very intuitive. I'm able to flow in a situation and pick up on what's actually going on around me, pick up on what is going on for people. And then my next element is fire. So yeah, I can be quite passionate. And to earth, I can be quite practical. Now, the weird thing is, I am actually a very mental person as well, but I have nothing in air. And what you'll notice as we go through the course is that there's always something else in the chart that tends to balance out the bits that we have missing. So you'll see later on that my air is balanced out. What's really interesting is when you've gone through all the different processes in a chart and you find someone who still lacks air. They really don't have anything. And then it suggests, that they operate much more on these other elemental levels than at a mental level. And now we're going to look at the chart image. And for this, I want you to try and block off the rest of your chart. I mean, you can even cut a circle in a piece of paper and lay it over your chart so that all you see is the chart, the aspect lines in the middle. Now, sometimes it can help to, if you can see this almost in 3 dimensions rather than something flat. But what you're looking for is some sort of a picture in here. What does it remind you of? Now, when I first looked at my chart image, I saw like a bird's head with this as the eye, the center circle, and this was like the neck. And it had this sort of pecking beak over here. I did not like this image at all. And it took me quite a while before it started to change. I worked with that image for a long time, this sort of nitpicking, pecking sort of quality about it. And then I started to see a butterfly, or maybe even a dragonfly, which I later discovered was actually my power animal. And this had such a better quality. It felt better to me. It felt more about freedom, which is ultimately my highest value, is freedom and that sense of transformation and metamorphosis. And this resonated so much better for me. And it's still the image that I work with now, but maybe you can see something else in my chart image. So I want you to look at your own image in your own star map. What does it say to you? What does it remind you of? And remember that whatever you get now could well change in the future. So for the second part of your homework, you're going to look at what image does the pattern of the colored lines in your star map remind you of? And what might that image mean for you? How does it relate to you in your life? Or that of the person whose star map you're looking at, your client. And I highly encourage you to look at more than just your own star map. Create the star maps for your friends and family and look at those. You might want to ask permission first and say that you're looking at their star map and are they okay with you doing that? Because it can almost be an invasion of privacy, because you will discover a lot about people through looking at their star maps. However, you will always see more when you have that person in front of you and they are saying, yes, please look for me. So enjoy your homework, counting up the number of planets in each element and looking for that image in the aspect pattern. And remember, you're using your intuition. You're developing your intuitive skills. And I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.